All right. Well, I am going to show you guys all about Ultra Pro, and I'm going to show you a quick little recipe on how to roast potatoes. Okay, so I've got some notes here. So the first thing I want to show or talk to you guys is about your Ultra Pro itself. So this is the piece of Ultra Pro that I currently have at my house that I use all the time. And so just some tips about Ultra Pro is it's oven safe, it's freezer safe, it's dishwasher safe, it's microwave safe, and it is refrigerator safe. So there's really nothing you can do to tear this up, right? You just don't want to put it in your oven under the broil, and you of course don't want to put it on a grill, because although it can withstand up to 482 degrees in the oven, if you put it on the broil, like the top part of your oven, and you put it too close, it will melt the top of it and kind of sear it and burn it. Ask me how I know that. So don't do that, okay? That's a bad idea. It's stain proof. It's got a non-stick coating, so it's going to be non-stick. This one is really shiny because I just used it to cook in, but of course I'm going to show you guys what I did. What I always tell my customers is that when you get a piece of Ultra Pro, it's going to take the place of your aluminum and your foil and your glass. So if people use Pyrex and things like that to make their lasagnas in, this is the piece that they would want to get rid of the glass and replace it with a piece of Ultra Pro. I also tell them the story of how we were at my sister's house in Atlanta for Thanksgiving, and it was like 2 nights before Thanksgiving. We had a house full of people. We had made 2 big lasagnas. This was way back when I first started Tupperware, and we didn't have Ultra Pro here in the US yet. It was only a Europe piece when I started, so I couldn't buy it or sell it. And we had made lasagnas in glass pans and put them in the oven, and all of a sudden we heard just this horrible sound, and the glass had busted, and all of the lasagnas were ruined because glass went into everything. So we had to throw them all away and order pizza. So that's not going to happen with your Ultra Pro. Also, it's a very high-end product that Tupperware sells, and I like the word choice of high-end, but it doesn't have a high-end price. So it's a very core product without a really expensive price to it. And then also when you buy a piece of Ultra Pro, not only do you get the bottom, but you also get the top. And so the bottom is going to serve as a dish to cook in and to serve from, and then so is your top, because the cover can be flipped upside down like this, and you can use this part to roast your potatoes, your Brussels sprouts. You can bake your cookies on it. You can do your biscuits, your jalapeno poppers, your chicken nuggets, your pizza rolls, anything. Instead of pulling out a aluminum pan, wasting foil, which is again going to cost you money, you can definitely use your Ultra Pro. So what I did tonight is I made a new recipe, which is super easy, which is roasted potatoes with a zesty sauce. So one thing that you want to do is when you get ready to do your potatoes is you want to pick something like a finger potato or your little golden potatoes. So you can get these at any grocery store. They are going to be best, like your red, your yellow, and your gold. You don't want to use like russet potatoes, because those are going to have a different texture and they're going to cook differently. Those are going to be better for other things, not your roasted potato. They wouldn't be that great for that. When you get ready to cut your potatoes, they recommend that you cut them in about inch diameter. So you just want to, let me see if you guys can see this okay. You could definitely show off our cutting board and our knives, and you just want to cut it either once in half. It does recommend for, because we do visually see with our eyes, our stomach sees with our eyes, not our mouth sometimes. You can cut them in different pieces in different diameters, and that way it kind of mixes things up. So you have some that are smaller and some that are larger. Once you get your potatoes cut in the way that you want them, if I do it like that, can you guys still see this down here and me? No? Okay, I'm going to do it like this because you guys don't need to see me. I'm not that important today. Okay, so once you get your potatoes cut, then you want to take your Ultra Pro, and you want to cover the bottom of your Ultra Pro, or you could even use the cover of your Ultra Pro. You could even do both. Another thing that you can do with your Ultra Pro is you can tandem cook which is you could start out in the oven and finish things off in the microwave for a lot, you know, to finish things up quickly. Or you could start in the microwave and then braise and finish things in the oven so it has a lot more flavor and a little more time at the end so it gets a lot of juices, like if you're making a roast and things like that, or a whole chicken. Your potatoes, these I cooked a little bit ago, but basically I covered the entire bottom of my Ultra Pro. Now they do say that spacing them out is best if you have them not on top of each other. So I tried to make sure they were kind of evened out on the top and the bottom. And then I just put them in the oven next to each other so I could do a double dose. You can stack it on top just like this. So it's upside down, basically the top, so you can use it as a dish, and then have them in both of them to save space in your oven. Once you put your cut up potatoes in your Ultra Pro, you want to sprinkle them with some olive oil. And then you want to salt and pepper them, and you want to toss them around with your spatula and then lay them back out so they're even. And you want to put them in the oven on the top, on the rack for 425 degrees. You want to let them cook until the edges are golden brown, or until you stick a fork in and they're at the consistency that you would want your potato to be. Some people like them more firm, some people like them a little bit more soft. Once you get the potatoes to the consistency that you want to let them cool down, but don't let them cool off completely. Now, this is the part of the recipe that I tried tonight, and it turned out really, really well. So if you want to jot this down, you can. I just pulled it off of Pinterest. I roasted my potatoes. I let them cool a little bit, but I still kept them warm. And when I felt like they were ready, what I did is I took my mix and store pitcher and my spatula or your whisk, and you're going to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You're going to pour that in. Then you're going to take 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Of course, you can incorporate your lemon lime zester if you're going to do a demo with this. A teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I took 2 cloves of garlic, and I put them in my little chopping prep, and I minced them real good. And then I added that to my mixture. I took a tablespoon of rosemary. I also put that in my chopper and kind of got it minced some. 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes if you want to have it a kick or a spice. I didn't put that in tonight. And then you can also add some freshly ground salt and some freshly ground pepper. Once you get that mixture mixed together with your spatula in your mix and store, or your whisk, this is kind of like what it's going to look like if you guys can see that. I don't know if you can see it or not. And then you're going to take that mixture and you're going to just pour it over your potatoes. Of course, I cooked all my potatoes and took some out and we ate them. So I'm just showing you guys a leftover batch of them so you guys can kind of get the feel for it. You're going to take your potatoes and you're just going to dump that little marinade that you made over them, toss them around in the marinade or the vinaigrette, whatever you want to call it, and then serve them while they're warm. And they were absolutely the best potatoes that I've ever made. Sean even said that he thought that mixture would be great over baked potatoes. So I'm like, hey, we can do that. So that's just a really quick little easy recipe that shows you how to use your Ultra Pro. Ultra Pro, like I said, if you don't own any of it, I would recommend that you get some of it. It used to be called Ultra Pro 21. So if you're established in Tupperware or somebody comes around and they're asking you some questions, and it used to be like a tan color from what I know. I'm not as old as Judy, so I'm not real sure about all that, but I'm sure she knows. But now it's a beautiful black color that matches all kitchens and cleans up really, really nicely. So I hope you guys enjoyed the Ultra Pro and get out and get you some.
Okay, pick me.